What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Patros Podcast. And as you guys know, with how we're dressed, it's that time of the year where we celebrate the birth of Christ.
With a Santa hat.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, where is your Santa hat? I thought you had one.
I did have one.
You just put on the nice...
It was just... Here, I'll go get it. Hold on.
Yeah. Go get the Santa hat.
We'll keep it rolling.
With your red shoes.
You gotta stay.
And your wife's sweatshirt.
You don't gotta out me yet.
Yes, I do.
Is it still...
It's very poignant.
But you know what I did find out?
Oh, see, that's dope.
Yeah, it's festive.
It's very festive.
Is it off?
Yeah, no. Keep it right like that.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah, just no migraine-inducing stuff.
So, today, we're going to be covering a few things. We're going to celebrate Christmas together here. I'm going to ask Jeff some questions about Christmas. I got some ideas. And then we're also going to be just talking about, why do we celebrate Christmas and how does that apply to us as men specifically. So, Jeff.
I'm so excited about this episode because I haven't really had to do much prep for this.
Yeah,
so.
No, this is you're being put on the hot seat.
Yes.
As the Patros.
Oh, let's go.
So I have some questions first for Jeff. Some of them are going to be a little bit on nostalgia. I specifically asked ChatGPT to give me questions for men who were born in the 70s. Were you born in the 70s or 80s?
Well, I was born in 78, so
70s.
Yeah.
But you grew up like an 80s kid.
I grew up in the 80s.
Okay. So we'll see if you get anything right. Before that, though, we're going to go theological Christmas questions real quick.
Oh.
I'm going to fire these off.
Okay.
You might be right. You might be wrong.
Okay.
I'll be honest. I wasn't creative with these. What does the name Jesus mean?
What does the name Jesus mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeshua?
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
He saves?
Yeah, the Lord saves.
Yeah.
Easy. Little ballpark. Just hit that.
I was sweating
that was a T-ball one.
I was sweating that one. Like, is this a trick question?
Was Jesus likely to be born on December 25th?
Well, it depends on who you talk to.
Mm.
Some people are now saying that he was. You talk to Jordan Oler, shout out Jordan. He will tell you yes.
Yes.
That we have the date right.
Okay.
If you talk to some people, then they say it's more coinciding with the Passover and the equinox, and so it's like, no, he was born. He was born in the spring.
So it's still up for grabs.
I think it's still up for grabs.
Okay.
Is it up for grabs?
No confirmed date, liturgical tradition, that some people just traditionally believe that.
Yeah, but then they've done like
math and
they've done the math and
now.
like the stars in the sky and like where the patterns were, and some say he's born in the spring, some say he's born in the fall. Why not split the difference?
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that one. It's a generous time of season. Was Jesus born in a stable? Well, likely born in a stable, cave, or inn?
Oh, well,
one of those are clearly.
He was not born in the inn.
For sure.
Because it was full.
Yeah.
So stop trying to trick me with your questions. He was most likely not born in a stable, like we would think of a stable with like the animals and like the horse.
It doesn't smell. They're just all like
and the pigs
groomed.
and the everything.
They're all looking at Jesus.
Yeah. So he was most likely born in a cave. And there may have been like a trough of some kind to put Jesus in potentially, or it could have just been none of that. Could have just been a cave.
That actually threw me off guard when I found that out.
Oh,
You're right.
Yeah.
I watched the 0 AD.
Yeah.
I think that comes out this, right? It's coming out on Christmas or something. So, and yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it surprised me.
Not a stable.
All right, last one from the theological historical part because I want to keep it pushing, but who were the first people told about Jesus' birth?
The first people told
when he was born
about Jesus' birth were announced to lowly shepherds.
And why is that significant?
Well, Jesus was also lowly in his birth, being God becoming man.
So good. Jeff, bro.
Yeah.
You're killing it. Now let's see how you do with the cultural ones.
Okay, these I'm going to be over.
All right, ready? This is for 80s kids, since you grew up more like an 80s kid.
Okay.
All right. What 1983 movie made You'll Shoot Your Eye Out a Christmas catchphrase?
Oh, man, it's my favorite Christmas movie. Christmas Story.
In Home Alone, where is... You're right. I just didn't like that you were right.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Is that how they say it?
Yeah, you'll shoot your eye. It's like a nightmare he has because he's like, I shot my eye out. Like
I gotta watch.
Do you know the story?
No, I gotta watch it.
Oh, come on. It's a classic story.
Who's in the movie?
I don't know, but they're in like Muncie, Indiana or somewhere. So it's like Chicagoland, like greater than, and it's cold. And the dad is not a Patros that you'd want of any kind. And he gets this like, he's an award winner of this amazing. See, you guys that are, the folks that are listening right now, they're
if you're born in the
they
80s,
are resonating with this story, which
it.
is he wins this gift. He's a major award winner, and it's a lamp of a woman's thigh in like fishnet stocking. And so like the lamp is on top and the leg is like, and he puts it right in front of the, so everybody looking in is looking at this like glowing ball of sex. That's how they describe it. I'm not saying this. Because the little kid is telling the story and he's remembering back to when he grew up. And he would look at the lamp and he'd just put his... You want to think about it. Christmas Story is not a great...
Okay, so we're about to do a Home Alone thing.
Okay, here we go.
And I watched Home Alone 1 yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like, the brother says something about nude beaches.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, how is this 10 years old plus?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah. Bad
you realize the 80s and 90s really jacked people up.
I don't know. We have OnlyFans now. So.
Yeah, true. But it's not on Christmas movies.
That's fair.
In Hallmark.
That's fair.
In Home Alone, where is the McAllister's family flying to when they forget Kevin?
Well, they live in Chicago, and they are flying to Europe somewhere. I think they're flying to France, Paris.
Oh, bro, you did that. You said Europe. You just had to like...
I needed to talk it out.
All right, let's do one more. We're going to do music because music makes you cry.
Only crescendos.
Which 1984 Christmas song by Band-Aid was created to raise money for famine relief?
Famine relief? A song by Band-Aid?
Well, who's Band-Aid?
I don't even know who Band-Aid is.
Okay, bet. So let's just keep it going.
In 1984.
What Christmas song by Wham became a yearly chart topper decades later?
Oh. I'm sorry. All I can think of is Mariah Carey right now. No. And All I Want for Christmas.
Was she in 80s or 90s?
I'm just saying, like, when I think of when I think Christmas songs that are like secular, I think of Mariah Carey.
All right, last one. What talking doll caused a massive Christmas shopping chaos in 1985?
Talking doll? It was a. Oh man.
Because you would have been 7.
7 years old.
Come on, Jeff. Chaos. Everybody wanted it.
Care Bear?
No. Similar start.
Teddy. What? Cacao.
Cabbage Patch Kids.
Oh, of course, Cabbage Patch Kids.
What is that?
People that are smarter out there would have got this. I'm not great at trivia, but
you also didn't. You didn't just have Cabbage Patch Kids?
No, Cabbage. Well, we didn't get Cabbage Patch Kids because my parents, I think they're too expensive, or they didn't want them,
or they were like, we're not gonna.
Or they were like garbage. But anyway, Cabbage Patch Kids were definitely a thing growing up. But my family, we weren't really into them.
So the last part of the first, we're going to talk a little more serious later, but to transition into that, what I wanted to do is right here, I have hot chocolate.
Oh, wow.
It has 44 grams of protein.
Really? You put protein powder?
I'm trying to teach men that we can still be festive and manly.
Oh, I like that.
So I want to see if you try it, but while you try it, so I'm going to be pouring this out. I want you to read this GIF while I'm pouring this. I got you something. It's really from Liza. It's from Liza. I called her this morning and asked her to write you a little something. You don't have to read it to us, but while I pour this, I want you to read it. It's just a present. It's nothing. I'm not pulling a joke. but I know words of affirmation are your go-to.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
She did this for you?
She did this.
I
told her this morning. I was
this
like,
morning she did this?
I legit called her and said, hey, you don't have to. And she was like, you're pulling a Jeff. You're asking for a last minute thing. And I have to put a lot of thought into this.
This is a total Jeff move.
And I said, you don't have to do it. I won't be upset. But I know that Jeff would love it because he's a words of affirmation guy.
Man.
And I told her, I won't read it out loud. She said, you can read it out loud if you want. But I was like, no, I want it to be between the both of you. So
wow.
Just read it.
But you want me to read this whole thing right now?
You're a fast reader, aren't you?
I know.
Bro, just the fact that you're lit up is crazy.
I'm shocked right now. I totally thought it's very distracting.
And this is what
happens.
Get
a close up of that noise
when you give the ADHD kid the driving
whipping cream. I'm like I need to read this later to process. Okay. I don't think that I can really like.
That's how much you like it.
I love it.
That's crazy.
This is the best Christmas gift that I've gotten in a long time.
You gonna cry?
That's why I really don't want to read it.
Okay.
I really don't want to read it because I need a quiet space.
All right, bet. I'm putting you on the spot.
Man, babe.
She's the GOAT.
She's the GOAT.
She's the GOAT.
I'm like, you're kind of the GOAT that you actually got her to do it though.
Hey, Liza's the homie.
I'm kind of really shocked.
Liza's the homie.
Wow.
Imagine she doesn't say really anything in there.
Hey, thank you.
But I tried.
Thank you for this.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful gift.
I tried.
From the both of you.
Jake, this is the most emotional I've ever seen. Well, it's not the most emotional.
No, I cried during a crescendo.
Yeah. But like the fact that you're not going to read it because you're like, man, I got to give it time.
I want to be able to absorb it. I'm speechless right now. I don't know what to say.
I was shocked that she did it, and I was actually gonna have her like read it and record it, but I was like, I'm asking too much too early and late all at the same time.
Wow. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed that.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna enjoy it later.
And I need you to tell me how it goes, because Gabby, I also called Gabby because I didn't have Liza's number. Well, I have it, but I didn't have it saved. And then she answered, and she's like, I'm just starting to talk to her because I saw we had texted before.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, so can you? And she was like, is this Alan? She was like, I don't have your number saved. I was like, same. All right. So this is 44 grams of protein.
Wow. Cheers.
And then we're going to transition into the gospel conversation. Let me know how this is. This is peppermint whipped cream. For 44, it's cold.
It's delicious.
For 44 grams of protein, this is fire.
Yeah, this is delicious. Men, you can get protein.
Bro,
and your
let me tell you guys how to do this
time.
Before we talk about Jesus being born. So you get bone broth that has there's a thing called it's a chocolate bone broth. It's 13 grams of protein for a scoop. Then it's 24 grams of whey protein, chocolate. And then you go ahead and put some collagen. That's 40 grams of protein right there in your hot chocolate.
That's well done.
But so let's dive into this. What we want to talk about today is we want to celebrate Christ. And, it's easy as an organization about masculinity to talk so much about masculinity that some people can not be centered on the whole reason that we care about masculinity, which is the story of the gospel, which is Jesus coming. And so, the pivotal point of God being incarnate is really what Christmas is all about. We're celebrating the fact that God has humbled himself to come into to our story, well, to his own storyline, but to come into humanity and save us from our sins. So Jeff, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but why is it significant for people to understand the story of Christmas from a salvific point and not just a cultural?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that particular question because last night as I'm bringing my daughter home from swim practice, she says, "Hey, Dad, do you remember that movie we watched last year? I guess we watched it at this time." And she was talking about the Passion of the Christ, the Mel Gibson one. Have you seen that one?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what she was talking about. She's like, "Remember, it was in subtitles because it wasn't." I'm like, "Oh," she's like, "The one in Arabic." I'm like, "Oh, the one in Aramaic." And she's like, "Yeah." And I forgot we watched that. And she said, "Dad, I don't understand how they, like, that's not fair that they did that to him."
No way.
And so we're talking about this during Christmas time, right? And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not fair that they did that to him, because that should have been us."
Yeah.
And so it opened up this conversation to talk about like why it was necessary for Jesus to come. Like, why did he have to do all that? And I think, because people will say, well, couldn't God have saved us another way? And I think the proper answer is yes. He could have done whatever he wanted to. But him knowing us, we were going to be like, well, you don't understand what I'm going through. And how could a God who loves me let XYZ happen to me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate, like, I would say, objection to faith is the problem of suffering, the problem of pain. And, C.S. Lewis and others have talked about that through the years is, how could a loving God allow bad things to happen? And people say bad things happen to good people. But bad things happening to good people is a fundamental misunderstanding of the condition of people, number one. But even if that were the case, he always has an answer because of the incarnation. So when we talk about incarnation, what we're talking about is God, who is spirit, making himself flesh, which is what we have. And we are spirits as well. C.S. Lewis says that we're not, bodies that have a spirit, we're spirits who have a body. So like we, in that sense, have become incarnated when we live, but we don't know what it's like to be
not
before
physical.
Yeah. Before physical manifestation with the body on it. So the ultimate reason why the incarnation is important is that Jesus, who was God, is God, will always be God, understands what it's like to be human. And so therefore for us, we can never have a situation where, in fact, the scriptures say he was tempted in every way and yet was without sin. So if you take it full circle to my daughter's question, right, where she's like, it's not fair. The answer is, you're right, it's not. It's not fair. But that was the only way that he could make a way for us to have communion with him. Because it wasn't until someone who understood everything that we went through and yet was without sin could be qualified, in a way, innocent, to then take our place on that stand, right? If you think about it from a juror's standpoint, right? And we're on trial of whether or not we can enter heaven, the answer is always unequivocally no. You may not enter heaven. You are not a good person. You may do good deeds. You may do some good things, but you are not inherently a good person. And it takes someone to be willing to take your punishment. And the only one that could take your punishment is the one who didn't do anything wrong. Otherwise, I'm just being substituted for you. Well, that doesn't help you. You need someone who did a little better than what I did.
From the standpoint of that logic, if I'm a non-believer or I don't know anything yet, my question then goes, well, if a human, which we know is impossible because the scriptures say, right, that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, that the standard is Christ and nobody can ever live a righteous life completely. So does that sacrifice, or the person that sacrifices for us, not only is innocent but divine? Like that they can't be of equal value but of more value?
I mean,
because then he's not trading the place of just one person for one person, but one person for all who come.
God is spirit, and scriptures teach us that he is omnipresent. Where can I go from your presence? Where can I flee from your spirit? If I go up into the heavens, you're there. If I make my bed in the depths, you're there. If I set on the far side of the sea, even there your right hand guides me. We can't go anywhere from God's spirit. So, who is it? The ones that would say that like the tree is spirit and the table is spirit, and there's some people that say that like
a philosophical.
Yeah, like in other words, everything is essentially God, right?
Oh yeah.
Like everything is God. Like
they believe everyone is God, everything is
correct.
God. Yeah.
And so there is a partial truth to that, I would say, in as much as that God is everywhere. So
he's present everywhere.
He is present everywhere.
But he doesn't necessarily exist in trees and
correct.
Or he doesn't at all exist.
Right.
So
in that sense, as a divine entity, he is able to be that substitute anytime, anywhere, throughout all ages. Whereas you're right, for a human to do it, even if we could conceive of a human to be perfect, which nobody can, but let's just say someone did everything right, that sacrifice would still only work for one other human.
Yeah.
Right? Like, well, I can take Alan's place. Let me do that.
Yeah.
Let me take my wife's place. Let me take my kid's place. Gosh, which kid would you choose? Jane, sorry.
Yeah.
Johnny, he's my firstborn.
Yeah, he's difficult.
But so I think that's why it's important to understand that there had to be a divine substitute, a divine propitiation, which is essentially an appeasing of God's wrath, which a lot of people have a hard time with that. Like, why would God make a creation that he would just be mad at? And, yes, in some sense he's mad at the creation, but it's more about his character, right? It's more about the holiness of God being so good and so wonderful and so pure that he can't taint that relationship that he has with himself, Father, Son, Spirit, by introducing something dirty. Just as a way, a bride, there's no bride that you could ever talk to who'd be like, you know what I'm cool with? You dropping, some blood on my beautiful white dress before I walk down the aisle. Or, you know what, let me just go roll around the mud over there. Just one time I'm going to roll around the mud. Yeah. Just once. And I'm going to come back and walk. No one's going to do that. It has to be unsullied, like totally perfect. So God can't by nature. So, you if you were a bride, if your wife was a bride,
would she
be okay with, one of her friends going,
yeah, here's mud.
Yeah, like, let me just do this right. Like, she'd be mad.
Yeah.
And she'd have a right to be mad.
Yeah.
And nobody would look at that other person and go, oh, I just feel so bad for you because you threw mud on your best friend's wedding dress because you were jealous because she got, the man you wanted. Like, nobody would be upset about that because justice would say, no, that's not right what you did.
Yeah.
So I think we ask the wrong questions sometimes, but I also think we're trying to figure it out, right? Interestingly enough, we had a really great 5 a.m. conversation
today.
Yeah, about, man, it was awesome. And it was like, the topic was, do aliens exist? That's where we started, right? But ultimately we got to like science and we got to, all of that. And like at the end of the day, we were talking about, God, like, why would God do X, Y, and Z? And I was like, asking why, I've learned that asking why when it comes to God
is not the best question.
It's just not helpful.
Yeah.
Because you end up in a place where you're never going to get an answer that satisfies you. Now, maybe it's helpful in as much as it can bring you to that cliff where you've got to jump.
Yeah.
Like you have to make you've got something chasing you from this side of the cliff. And this cliff, it looks pretty dangerous and you can't see the bottom, but to stay here would be certain death, right? So maybe it can bring you to that, but I found that a much more helpful question is, what can I piece together? What can I learn? What can the what question is better.
Like to inquire.
Yeah,
like I say this to my kids all the time now because, we're training them. They're 4, so they're still like engaging with, like, I don't know what generations didn't, but my generation, probably Gen Z, Gen Alpha, are the similar, that we want to know the why to everything. Whereas I think like boomers, Gen X, we're more like, you obey. Not you don't get up. There's no reason. You just obey. And we're trying to instill in them obey, then desire or inquire to know more.
Yeah.
So like, you know, if I say, hey, please, like, go to the kitchen to grab this, please. It's not like, why? No. You're going to go, you're going to grab the thing, and you're going to ask daddy, hey, dad, why'd you have me grab that instead of this? Like, but first you obey.
Yeah.
And that's a pattern that we see in scripture, is that God does not call us to like, hey, before I say yes, because what that does is that's putting God in the seat of the juror, not the judge.
Yeah.
So that's putting him in the seat of like, well, you have to prove to me that it's worth it for me to follow your call.
Yeah, that's John 6, where it's like, hey, show us a sign, and then we'll believe you're the Messiah.
I'm not here to dance for you.
And Jesus is like, bro, on the other side of the lake, I just fed 5,000.
Exactly.
Like, get with the program.
Yeah.
Have you heard the news?
Yeah.
Right? But that's exactly right. And like, interestingly enough, so I was born in 78. I'm always a why kid. I was always a why kid. I always wanted to know why I was doing something, because if I could understand why I was doing something, then it made sense for me to do it. But I didn't want to do something if it didn't make sense.
Which puts you in the seat of,
well, put me
I'm in charge.
I'm in charge.
I'm in charge of myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, in one sense, fine, in a positive sense, to say you're not a victim of your circumstances. You're in charge of you.
Yeah.
In that sense,
you
it's
critically
positive.
think. Those are all good things.
Yeah. But it's not positive when it comes to like who's ultimately in control of your life. And that's the people who are asking why are the ones that want control. And my point this morning in this conversation was my issue with the science crowd. And I even said, like, for me, science comes from a Christian ethic and worldview. Like, God
the
is
fathers of science. Like they believed.
Yeah.
The reason that they were studying was because they were curious of what the Creator had done.
Well, and they looked at the world and they go, God created this. Certainly there's order to it. Let me find the principles and the laws that are found within that order. And so the curiosity about science came from the idea that God exists and he's a God of order. So, you know, but I was pitting this they versus them, and one of my buddies, he's I don't know, he's probably agnostic, but he's definitely in the science crowd. And he's like, oh, you know, there's not really like, you know, you're saying this and they and them. But I was saying, well, I'm thinking of the crowd and he's not in this crowd. I'm thinking of the crowd that is very much like, you know, science explains everything. That's the crowd that I'm thinking of. And I'm like, because he was saying, well, you know, science, like the reason we believe it is because we've observed it, we can test it. And I go, yeah, that's why I love science. But you can't observe something that happened 6,000 years ago, and you sure can't observe something that happened 4 billion years ago.
Yeah.
Like, we don't observe those things. Yeah. And I just wish that individual, that crowd would be honest about it, that to go from nothing exists to something exists, primordial soup to a sentient thinking human being takes as much faith, because you didn't observe it. You're viewing evidence. And you're making conclusions. I'm viewing evidence and I'm making conclusions. That's what we're both doing. Yeah. But both of us need faith to take the next leap. And that's what you're trying to tell your kids when it comes to, and then what about the what and why question? Because I'm the same way. With God, faith isn't experienced until it's tried. So you have to try faith before you're going to get the benefit from it. And in our culture, we want, no, prove it to me first, and then I'll get the benefit. And that's not how it works with God.
No.
He is always going to ask you to do something in an area of trust, with the foundation that he is good, he is just, he is fair. That's the reason why I can do this. And the fact that I sent my son to die in your place shows that, like, how much I can be trusted. Because, by the way, my son agreed to this plan. We hatched it together with the Spirit's help and said, this is what we're going to do. And it's not like the son drew the short stick and was like, fine, I'll go. Like, he was like, who knows, maybe he was the personality that suggested it and said, I want to go in their place, right? And that's why we have to have a divine substitute. A human substitute's not going to do. That's why Christmas matters.
Yeah. And it's this pivotal time in human history, right? Where, like, I mean, all of us define time based on it, like it's 2025 based on the birth and death of Christ. And then what you have is really what we're eventually going to get into, but I just wanted to read a couple of things before that. But you have the humility of God, right? Is to be able to say, this doesn't necessarily benefit me in any way. This is hard. This is difficult. This is humiliating. And I'm going to be raised by my creation, by foolish people. I'm going to, be instructed and taught, right? You have the only time that we see Jesus in his adolescence is with rabbis. Yeah. People that are reading the scriptures that Jesus created. Yeah. And he's engaging in the scriptures with them. Yeah. Now he's flexing a little bit.
I told Moses to write that.
Yeah. Because they're astonished by his understanding. Yeah. So he's clearly flexing a little bit, just giving them a sneak peek of like, I'm not
a little taste.
I'm not just like the rest of you.
I'm him.
And then you got like Mary and Joseph. They end up, they don't know where Jesus is. They come back and they're like, where were you? We were looking for you. And he's like, don't you know I'm supposed to be about my father's business? Yeah. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. So even as a 12-year-old, he's modeling that dedication to the mission at hand. Yeah. So C.S. Lewis says, the Son of God became a man to enable men to become sons of God. Yeah. I think that's such a powerful statement. Yeah. Tim Keller says Jesus was born into poverty so that we might become rich in grace. And then Athanasius says he became what we are, that he might make us what he is. Not in the sense of divinity, but in the sense of righteous, in the sense of being counted as we had not sinned yet, even though we have sinned.
Well, and it is important for people to understand that. That when that exchange takes place, his life for ours, right, and our life for his, when that exchange takes place, he considers you completely like him. Yeah. You are completely perfect. Yeah. Adopted into his family, son of God, co-heir with Christ. So you're the brother of Christ, you're the son of God. It's unfathomable, actually. Yeah. I actually think the Christian story is rather unbelievable. And what I mean by that is I don't think humans could have come up with it. Yeah. Like part of the reason I'm persuaded by it is the divine nature of it, because it's not like all the other religions. Now, it is like some of them in terms of resurrection and things of that nature, sacrifice and things of that nature, because that's how God has always planned it. So every culture kind of has a sacrifice story, a flood story, but that's probably because it's true. And that's where God kind of mandated, hey, this is what the story is going to look like. But the idea, none of those other ideas had this idea of a God becoming flesh, because God was not like man, and then this idea of the Trinity. There's extremely complex things at play that humans.
It would almost be like if humans did come up with it, it would make us seem not credible.
Yeah. And all of it is. Yeah, I feel like every analogy for the Trinity falls short. Yeah. Yeah. You're just like, well, it kind of makes sense, but what about this? And
I saw a viral clip recently that was like, let me try. And it was like Neapolitan. It's 3 different ice creams, but one ice cream.
One ice cream.
And people were like, no, because it's blah, blah, blah. And people were coming at him. It was like 2 million views. And it was crazy. The comment, one of my friends got like 10,000 likes on just his comment of like, no, this doesn't work because blah, blah, blah. The guy reposts later and was like, all right, look, I know a lot of people got really sensitive about the Neapolitan. Rocky Road. He was like, let's try another one because people get so, but he was like, no, guys, I understand. There's no way to fully explain it because to explain being in person and how that interacts is impossible. It's impossible. We can't comprehend it.
Oh, it's fun talking to my kids. They're kind of getting it. And Asher's like, Jolie, it's 3 personalities, one God. He's like, yeah, don't you get it?
He's like, so God's multiple personality disorder?
Yeah. But that's Jolie. Jolie is like, yeah, but then he's like talking to himself, so he's crazy,
Yeah.
And so you're in some sense, you're like, yeah, it does kind of sound crazy. Yeah. Right? Like, so anyway, it's in some sense, you're like, I don't want to follow that kind of God. I don't want to follow a crazy God. Yeah. And then you got your human dignity up against it, and God's like, well, I became a man.
Yeah.
What do you think? Where's my dignity?
Yeah.
So it's like every kind of excuse we give. That's why Jesus lived. That's why the incarnation matters, because it's like, yeah, I had to go down that same road, bro. I get it. There were things that didn't make sense to me. They were, foolish, but I'm like, yeah, but I know this is truth.
Yeah. The whole story at the end of the day is because humanity is broken and sinful. Yeah. And so Jesus has to come. He has to enter our storyline as a man to take our place. But within that, right, he has to live a sinless life. Then, he even asks God the Father, if there's anything else, let's do that, because this is about to be unbearable. Yeah. But he'll bear it because he's God. Yeah. And then he dies. 3 days later, resurrects, takes the punishment that we deserved. And so that's why we get to have a renewed relationship with him. For those of you that aren't believers, it's the best thing that you could ever do. I mean, I attribute everything in my life that's positive to my relationship with Jesus. But now, because we are an organization that champions masculinity in the sense of how God intends it, I think sometimes what we miss is the ways that the Christmas story points to masculine aspects. So you have the most powerful being in the universe, the originator of everything, sacrificing and saying, not I, but you. Like, I will do this for you. Not because you're more valuable than me, but I will count you as the way that God has called us to do that. Have you looked at the other trends within it, maybe from even an adoption standpoint with Joseph, like when it comes to the masculinity within the story of the Nativity?
It's an interesting question, because Joseph, in some sense, was, well, in every sense, was not the father.
Yeah, that's not my DNA.
Right? And so you have really adoption, which runs throughout Scripture. In fact, I just was speaking on this recently. Adoption is so powerful. And in fact, in first century, Palestine was Roman territory, Roman culture and law. The adopted son was more unbreakable than the biological. So the biological son could be disowned, could be castigated away and therefore lose out on all rights, inheritance, and privileges to the inheritance and to title and to land and everything else. Yeah. Once adopted, though, that cemented, you couldn't go back on that, because it was the culture was such that was legally binding now. Yeah. So there's no way to go back on that. So in that sense, adoption is actually stronger than biological birth. And you look at Jesus, and in some sense, he was adopted, which is kind of cool to think about. Yeah. Even though he's son of God, we know that his father, and he's the pre-existent one, right? He actually is an uncreated being. Yeah. But in the story of man, he is actually adopted. And Joseph, if you think of it from Joseph's standpoint, he's like, bro, I didn't even sleep with this girl. She's pregnant. Yeah. Yeah. And you want me to do what? Yeah. And there have been instances that I know of men who their women have cheated, and they've gotten pregnant by other, and where that dad still chose to step in and be a father. Wow. Because the one was, Yeah. And to me, that's the kind of humility that Christ models for us by becoming a baby. And if he can step out of, was that song we were listening to last night, my daughter and I, on the way back. How could a king abandon his throne? How could a lord abandon his home? How could the greatest become the least for me? Bro, I was getting teary, just like, because you're like, how could he do that, bro? But he did. And so for us, as we identify with Christ in that way, then we model what he does. So I think as Man Up, as Patros, as folks who are trying to model what it means to be Jesus, man, Joseph is a great example. Yeah. Great example of now, I get it that he had the visit from the angel.
Yeah, it does help.
It helps.
It does help to have a being.
Yeah. But he could have dismissed that as a dream.
Yeah.
He could have been like, bro, I think I was just dreaming. Yeah. You know, he could have.
I mean, you have plenty of characters in the scriptures that have been visited by God himself and messed up.
And messed up still.
Yeah.
So I think Joseph, that to me is what initially sticks. I don't know what you see in it.
Yeah. No, that's one of the main things is like the faithfulness to father in a way. And as we obviously always say, to stand in the gap. Because he could have, number one, I think Joseph would have to have a good relationship with the Lord to understand that that was an angel, not a demon. So he'd have to be able to discern, right? Who is this that I'm speaking to? And are they truly of God? He's moving in a way that is honorable to her even before he understood, right? Yeah. So you have something that's like a man of integrity, a man of character, and really a man that God has entrusted to be the Patros to himself, which is a wild thing to think about. But God is looking at family structures and saying, okay, Mary is faithful. I find favor with her, but she's also found a good man. And this man is going to be the priest of the home that I am brought up in. Which is interesting.
Well, that's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah, you think about all the things Jesus learned. Right? Like from simple things like, you know, here's how you tie your tunic on, son. Right? Here's how you handle a saw. Here's how we plant, you know, and till the ground.
You'd have to wonder, like, how
he's like,
faithful
I
was.
know.
He's like, you know, I made trees. You're a carpenter.
That's okay. I'm gonna let you go on, though.
That's cute. You use what I made to make things. That's very cute. But yeah, so I see that. I obviously see like the just within just Jesus himself, obviously, is something that all of us do, is naturally being like, wow, God came down into humanity. What humility. But then from the masculinity standpoint, being able to see that with Joseph, I think is such a powerful thing for us, because, you know, it's one thing to see God do something and be like, man, thank you. We don't deserve this from you. But to see that, like, there's another man within that story that's being faithful, it gives us a model. And I think it speaks to, like, how we as men, you know, both of us are adoptive fathers. And I guess maybe it made me feel some sort of like I don't even know, like, not camaraderie, but like I sympathize that some sort of feeling of like, now for very different reasons. I'm not raising the son of God or anything, but but you feel something of the heart of God for adoption that is like, and what hopefully my children will one day understand is that they get to engage with adoption in an experience that Jesus himself can sympathize with.
Man, it's a good thought. And even just thinking about Joseph, like, what did he think too about how do I raise the son of God? You know what I mean? Like that must have been weighing on his heart. And then him being sinful, though he was a good man, you know.
You could yell sometimes. Who knows?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Because there are times when you discipline and you overdo it.
You just got to look at repent.
Yeah. And then you have your kid looking at you like, what you need to do.
Bow.
I'm sorry.
Clean the feet.
Bow down. Clean my feet. But it's inspiring to think about, though. Yeah. And I think Joseph's story, because we don't really hear how Joseph died. Yeah. You know, we don't hear, all of a sudden he's just not in the picture.
You just
anymore.
know that he's not alive when Jesus is dying on the cross.
Correct. And so you just wonder, like, what was his life like? You know, when did he know that there was something special about his kid? Yeah. When did he start to go like, hey, I want...
Well, he knew that before he was born.
Well, yeah, but I mean, to see it in real time.
That's the
like
thing.
12 years is a long time.
You forget.
You forget. I know I had that experience.
The Israelites, look at that.
That's what I'm saying. It didn't take very long for them to
fire
forget.
come down from heaven, and then later you're just like,
we're not going
to listen to God.
Every day they had bread on the ground.
And then they're just like, golden calf, let's go dance.
Gosh. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. No,
so he had to
see it
have those
actualized.
moments. So, like, I wonder when that moment when he was like, oh, man, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's real.
Well, people don't like the Mary Did You Know song, which I love.
Oh.
Because they say, you know, she knew who her son was. And I get that. She knew that he is redemption to humanity. But I don't think she knew what that was going to look like. And I think that's the essence of the song. Yeah. Is like, hold on, but did you know this man was going to walk on water? Did you know he was going to make people see? Did you know, like...
Yeah, when you kiss him, you're kissing the face of God.
Like,
Come
these
on.
are things that, like, you might physically know, like, okay, he's God, but he's still my baby.
Yeah.
And then, but when you kiss his face, you're kissing your Savior's face. Like, that experience.
Oh, it's wild.
And the fact that, you know, we get to every year spend time celebrating what ultimately is the redemption of humanity for those that will surrender their lives to Jesus. Yeah, right. I wanted to read this real quick from Philippians, and it's the whole, you know, part of just like the essence of who Jesus is. So in Philippians it says, you know, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others, which really is what Man Up and Go is always doing, is calling men to do. Is, man, I know you got a business you're building, a family you're building, a church that you're a part of, but look not only to your interests, but the significance of others, and look at their interests. And then it says this right after that. Have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself by taking the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of men and being found in human form. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to the point of death, even death on the cross. Therefore, God has highly exalted him and bestowed him on the name that is above every name, so that the name of Jesus every knee should bow, in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. And so when we're calling you to become a coach, to volunteer your time for Adopt a Family, I mean, what other ways can men be living this very thing out, where it's you're not thinking just of yourself, but you're replicating really the desire of what Jesus did for us in a very different way. Obviously, it's not salvific, but God has modeled sacrifice for us.
I think the line that gets me there is that he did not consider equality as something to be grasped. We are like addicted to justifying ourselves, like addicted to it, like
our own significance.
Yeah, like, oh, well, this is what I mean by that, or like, we don't want to be misunderstood. We want to make sure that people know where we stand on things. And I'm my own person. I have bodily autonomy. I have mental autonomy. I'm autonomous, right?
We want our entitlement. Yeah.
Entitled. Like, we are probably the most entitled culture that's ever lived. And to, you know, the proper entitlement that Jesus had was, I'm God. So sit down.
I'm about as entitled as I'm allowed to be. Like, I'm supposed to be.
Right. Like, there doesn't get any more entitled. But he's good, and we're not.
That's so good.
But instead, he didn't consider equality as something that he needed. And for me, when I hear that passage, that's the one that is the most challenging to me, and the one that I don't need to justify myself. I don't need to explain myself. You know, like, I don't need to insist that someone else understand me or understands me. Yeah. I don't need to have as much money as you. I don't need to have that certain position. I don't need to get credit for that thing at work, or doing the dishes at home, or, you know, taking the kids, you know, changing a diaper. What, like, if she doesn't say thank you, who cares? Yeah. Don't consider equality as something to be grasped. Like, you don't need to get your flowers on this side of heaven. Now, when it happens, is it nice? This was very nice. I mean,
I'm so excited. You got to film yourself reading it.
I am so excited because just to read what it says, and like, these are the moments you really appreciate. But at the end of the day,
that's valuing connection, not necessarily stature
or worth. Like, who I am as a man is not determined by how many people say you're awesome. Yeah. Right. But in our culture, we literally have an entire life that is dictated by that, which is social media. Like, you're literally
your
like,
follower count.
Your worth is based on how many. And listen, we try to get followers and everything like that too. So
attention helps you be effective in making change in culture for sure.
Sure.
But not for the sense of pride.
But not for the sense of pride, not for the sense of being, I keep going back to this language, not in the sense of being equal, right? Like in the sense of, not caring what people think about you, and you don't have, like, I think the biggest thing, you don't have to get your flowers this side of heaven, right? Like, it's okay. It's nice when it happens. Be grateful when it does, but you can maintain a good attitude otherwise, because you know that your God in heaven sees everything, and he also did the same thing.
I love how, like, what you're saying, when you see Jesus when he's right before starting his ministry or as he's starting it, and he's just saying, like, hey, I healed you. Don't go tell anybody this. Mm-hmm. Like, he's modeled that for us. Yeah. And still they go and tell people. Yeah. But, he says, like, the time isn't yet come. Or, like, there's so many instances where he's showing us that, like, it's not for the glory of right now. Yeah. Like, Jesus knows every knee's going to bow to me. I know. Like, I don't need it right now. Like, let's be about the Father's business.
Yeah, he says, his brothers give him a hard time. They're like, hey, you want to be a public figure, huh? Like, go show yourself, let's go to the temple. Let's, anybody who wants to be a public, like, they're mocking him, right? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, for you guys, any time will do. Because you're ready now, because you are the most impatient people. I know why I'm here, and I don't need to be recognized right now and in this moment. Yeah. I have a mission, I have a time and a place, and I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to be patient about it. That's good. And we're just not. As human beings, we press the issue on everything. We think that we need to make it happen. I had a sales agent. She would say, if it is to be, it's up to me. And that's what she would say. And in sales, that's fine, right? Like, you can't just sit on your butt and do nothing.
Yeah, you got to work hard.
You got to go work. And nobody is saying that you shouldn't work hard. The problem is, like, it's taking that attitude that you are in control of your own destiny. I understand the idea of working hard, but you are actually not in control of your own destiny. Yeah. So you can work hard, and as far as it depends on you, do your part in reverence to and in submission to a higher will and a higher entity that actually governs and superintends everything. Yeah. And that's what we're to be doing in that verse on humility, not being equal, that to me is what that's all about.
And we often talk about, like, man, the humility of how God could come and be a human. And one of the things, like, the trends that you see within the story is how Jesus' human experience, he chooses it to be lowly. Like, he could have chosen any way to enter the story. Yeah. Like, guns blazing.
Middle class, at least.
Gold Everett. Bro, if I would have picked it, I'd be coming and stunting, just like, like, they got chariots. And Jesus legit, like, comes in where he's rejected. Yeah. He's rejected. His mom's rejected. I know. Like, so within it, he's identifying with the marginalized. He's identifying throughout his time as a human. He even verbally says, right, like, when you don't feed those that are hungry, you didn't feed me. Yeah. He doesn't say that typically when he talks about the rich. Yeah. He does talk about that he is the one that holds riches. Yeah. But I think that that's comforting, and that's something that we should all see, because he is the richest, the most full, the most innocent. He is not a criminal. And yet in those stories, he identifies with the prisoner and says, when you didn't visit the prisoner, you didn't visit me. Yeah. So, like, he identifies with those that we look down on and says, when you see them, you should see me. Yeah. And that's something I think that all of us should adopt, because it's so easy for us, as you were saying, like, we as a culture want to be equal or above. I can't lie, even inside in the back of my head, I constantly have to fight, like, I'm here for a different purpose. Yeah. I'm not here to accumulate wealth. If I get a few things because I need to give it to my kids for generational wealth or whatever, but regardless, like, I'm not here for that. Yeah. That's our natural state. Yeah. And yet Jesus the entire time is identifying himself with those that have nothing.
I'm sorry, this is probably not appropriate comparison. But when you're saying that, I couldn't help but meet the Fockers. Because, like, Ben Stiller's character, he was like an accountant originally. And he's like, no, I need to be like the lowest of low. I'm going to be a male nurse.
Which male nurses make good money.
They make good money, don't get me wrong.
But there was a time where male nurses were looked down on.
Yeah, they were just disrespected.
Yeah.
And like he was trying to make himself this really vulnerable, emasculating character. And that's what Jesus did. I mean, he could have come as any kind of, like middle class makes sense to me, but no, he came to like really a poor community in a town that didn't matter.
Yeah.
People whose existence would be forgotten in the annals of history, right?
Yeah.
But that's where he chose to identify, and it says a lot.
Which to me even like has more credibility with the storyline, because why do we care so much as a culture, the world?
Yeah.
You have people that have committed their lives to proving him that he didn't exist, that he isn't God. Why would you care so much if he was so insignificant?
He's insignificant. Totally insignificant.
He's supposed to be insignificant.
A carpenter from a nowhere place in first century Palestine. Like, why do you care?
Yeah. Because he wasn't chasing the glory that you don't need to chase.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that each and every one of us men can learn and can be reminded of, is to keep the main thing the main thing. I don't know what you have as a takeaway as we're closing.
Takeaway. Well, one,
was it good?
This protein-packed hot chocolate with collagen, bone broth, and protein powder.
Bro,
it's legit. It's legit, folks.
I'm telling you.
Now
I'm gonna send you the stuff to get.
I usually get my mochas during this time of year.
I thought that you were gonna bring some, so I was kind of nervous.
Oh, no, yeah, I didn't.
I'm just kind of glad you.
I usually go no whip on that.
Oh,
but I have to tell you, just hearing you break out the whip was worth it. For all of the empty calories that I'm going to consume.
Bro, but it was because there's peppermint in it. So I added that little touch.
That's where the peppermint's coming from.
Yeah.
My guy. My takeaway is that's delicious. Also, my takeaway is, Alan, thank you for this.
I can't wait.
Thank you for this gift. I didn't really get you anything.
You didn't have to.
Which I feel badly about now. But
no.
This is truly, I treasure this.
Yeah.
I treasure this. Just, yeah. So that's a takeaway. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But I think just in terms of the story, Christmas is truly my favorite time of year. I love this time of year, but I do not love it because of the presents and the caroling and the trees.
Those are so nice though.
And all of that is awesome. And I love it. I don't do it for the peppermint mochas. I really don't. I love it because I think of this little baby. I really sincerely do. And to your point earlier, man, if there are those listening, you've made it this far in the podcast, you've been able to endure it this far. I mean, that little baby will. There's that song, "A Baby Changes Everything," and it's so true, because the baby didn't stay baby, because of what the baby endured and was willing to go through, but he had to start in that lowly way. And to your point about the lowliness of coming to shepherds and, the circumstances in which he was born, this is why we have hope. And this is why I love this season, because I have hope. And I know that no matter what goes on in the world, that I have eternal peace. Like you could, I really believe this. You could come for me. You could take me away from my family. You could murder me at the stakes, whatever it is. And I would hate every second of it, like in my flesh, but in my spirit, I would know where I'm going. And I would know that in those moments, I believe I could have peace even under the most duress. And because I don't ever think I'm going to have to deal with that, I'm just going to face some financial difficulties here and, maybe some emotional difficulties there. I can make it through anything because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And the fact that he identifies with my weaknesses means that whenever I'm going through something, I can go, Jesus, you've already been here. And it's because of that baby. So, man, the best decision I ever made, although I was called from eternity past, was to recognize the lordship of Jesus. And, we have to recognize that in that lordship, there's a little baby there in the incarnation, God becoming flesh, entering our pain, living a sinless life so that he could die a perfect death. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, that was really good. My takeaway is when you look at that picture, I know that, the wise men visited him when he was 2 and not, but regardless, 2, 1, 0 days old, like you're talking about men looking at somebody that really in physical terms is of no significance, nothing like no notoriety, no position, no status, and saying, man, if you're the Messiah, then you're my Lord.
Yeah.
And you have not done anything necessarily physically to earn that from me, but it's because the scriptures tell me who you are.
That's right.
And because God tells me who you are, therefore you have my faithfulness.
Yeah.
Like, and that is what I pray each and every person gets to enjoy. Like when I talk about my life is not my own, and which I often talk about, you know, how I want to live my life is that it does not belong to me, but that I steward it. It is not easy, but it's a good hard. Yeah. And because it's good, even though it's difficult, it's not as difficult as the Nigerian brothers and sisters that are losing their lives. It's not as difficult as many others, but regardless, my takeaway is the experience that you get for eternity with Jesus, to enjoy him forever. Like, there's nothing like it. Yeah. The peace that you have, there's nothing like it. Amen. So my invitation to those of you that don't believe is that. And then my invitation to each and every one of you Christian men that are in the church is to engage with the fatherless, to engage with those who have been marginalized in a way that God has called us to, because that's our goal at the end of the day here at Patros, is to end fatherlessness and to also help men live in a biblical way of masculinity.
Amen. So, well said.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Sound.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Natal. Do you know it in Chinese?
I know it in
Ethiopian.
In Amharic, Malcolm Gena.
Malcolm Gena.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you when we hit New Year's.
Let's go.
All right. That should be good. How long was that? An hour?